Hey, Hawkeye fans, Chad Leistikow, Des Moines Register, Tyler Tachman, Des Moines Register. Post-game podcast here, Hawks Central. Iowa wins 26-16. Almost not really sure how it happened, but I would say I was entertained. I know the offense, had its down moments, but Tyler, the Hawkeyes prevail. I know you didn't cover the team last year, but this felt a lot like a lot of games last year where the Hawkeyes just kind of pulled out a win out of thin air with special teams and defense. Hawkeyes scored the final 16 points tonight to pull out the win, move to 4-1 overall, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Huge win for the team. A lot of issues moving forward, though.
Was it? I mean, you were there. I'm guessing. Obviously, did it feel somewhat like that Minnesota game from last year?
Not exactly, but it almost felt like the Nebraska 2021 game where the Hawkeyes blocked a punt in the fourth quarter. They were way down. Kind of felt like they were fading out of it. And then blocked a punt in the fourth quarter, and then offense put a drive together and won it 28-21. Kind of won a game that didn't have a business winning, sort of. But anyway, I mean, this is kind of what this team has done, really, for about the last 2 years to find a way to win. It's never, ever pretty.
Yeah, well, I'll say first, just what a chaotic game. There was there were so many things that we're probably not even going to touch on this, all the turnovers, the fourth down getting stopped, the reviews. I mean, this was just an absolute roller coaster of a game. It gave me a headache for sure watching it. But I think the two main things that I pulled out of it, if we're going to pull out general takeaways, is one, we learned a lot about the character of this Iowa team, that coming off the loss to Penn State, that felt like it could have been really demoralizing and kind of knocked Iowa off of the tracks of the season. This game felt like a really good indication of how would Iowa respond. I thought the response from like an intangible perspective of what are we going to see? How are we going to see them fight? What are we going to see, them be able to show resolve and resilience? I thought that was a very encouraging sign. On the flip side of things, Cade McNamara goes down with an injury that we didn't get specifics from Kirk Ferentz after, but it didn't look great from what we saw on the field. You already have Jazz Patterson and Caleb Johnson out, who might be back within the next 1 to 2 weeks. Luke Lachey is already out. So you're dealing with a snake bitten team already. The road ahead is not going to be easy. You have Deacon Hill, a guy that barely even played at all in his one season at Wisconsin. Now you basically have, moving forward for the foreseeable future, the offense that's already been struggling riding on him. You have a wide receiving group that there was criticism about not getting them involved enough heading into this week. And they try, and there was a lot of drops. It's going to take the resilience of what we saw from Cooper DeJean and what ended up kind of being the game-winning punt return. I was going to need a lot more of that moving forward if they want to achieve what they want to achieve, because it's going to get difficult.
Definitely. Well, Iowa scores, like I said, 16 points after a fumble by Leishon Williams turns into a fumble 6 for Michigan State to open the second half. So it's 16-10 Spartans. Almost before you snap your fingers, less than 2 minutes into the second half. Spartans don't score again, so Iowa's defense pitches a shutout in the second half. But here's how Iowa scored its 16 points: a four play drive for -5 yards, and a 53-yard Drew Stevens field goal, a 7-play drive for 20 yards, and that was after a shanked Michigan State punt. And that tied it up with 16 all with 5:19 to play. Then the Hawks get another stop on defense, another 3 and out, and then that's when Cooper DeJean busts the 70-yard punt return. It was such a it laid out so perfectly because they had kicked the ball over his head all night or short. And even going back to last week against Penn State, it's either short or long with Cooper. And he had not really done a very good job of getting his hands on the football because that's when he's at his best. And this one was just perfect. I mean, it was a line drive, deep punt, long punt. So he had tons of room to run, and he was very decisive with that return. I'm glad he ran it all the way in just so there wasn't like some clunky, trying to hand the ball off and run off clock and hope he makes the field goal, 1916 type win. I feel like that return sort of kind of became the moment. You needed a moment like that, I think. And this crowd was awesome. This crowd was awesome in the second half. I think you got to give the Kinnick fans a lot of credit, too, for hanging in there in this game. So, like you said, Tyler, resiliency, defense, special teams, home crowd, not much offense.
And I think hope of, if there was any left, of Iowa's offense becoming like really dynamic and all of this and that. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but when Cade McNamara was a big part of that, right? He's led a team, his former team, Michigan, to a Big Ten title, to a college football playoff semifinal appearance. He was a big part in this idea that Iowa would kind of have this revamped, more high-flying, I guess you could say, offense. We didn't really see that consistently through the first 4 games of the season, but he was sort of the central figure into that. Now we don't know when or if he's coming back. So I think with Deacon Hill now basically taking over, the offense is just going to need to survive. I think that the offense is just going to need to be good enough. I see the question popping up, how does offense need to change under Deacon to be successful? They need to start running the ball better, first off, because the running game was just dreadful. Yeah. Kamari Moulton was their best option, who's a true freshman. Leishon Williams.
Leishon did a little bit late. He had a little juice late.
That big fumble could have.
But that was bad. Yeah.
Where Michigan State took it in for a touchdown. So I think, one, the running attack needs to get going. Jazz Patterson and Caleb Johnson would be a significant lift if they are able to come back to that. But I think expectations of this becoming a high-flying offense, if there were any left, because I don't think there were, but of like seeing this really evolve, now the offense is just going to need to survive. The defense is going to need to get takeaways, which it finally did break through and do against Michigan State after so much time this season of not really being able to force those turnovers. Jamari Harris with the pick. There was a fumble. Sebastian Castro with the pick. Cooper DeJean with the pick. The defense is going to need to get back to that elite level of forcing turnovers. And the offense is just going to need to do enough at this point.
Yeah, to answer the question, I don't think it has to change that much. Deacon does have a big arm, and it was nice to see that Iowa can do the bootleg action with him, and a lot of boots for Deacon. For a bigger guy, he moves pretty decently. The quarterback sneak is back, so welcome back, the Deke sneak, as you called it, Tyler. So there's a few little elements that Deacon brings to the table, but he was 11 for 27 for 115 yards. So, and now teams have film on him. So it's going to be tough. And you do feel like that this, I don't know if many fans felt like this was going to be a Big Ten, a team that would go to the Big Ten title game, but it doesn't, without Cade, it doesn't feel like they probably will at this point, but defense, special teams, that's the way to get there. And then you just, if they do, maybe Cade's back by then. Who knows? We don't know how serious it is. I should stress that. It didn't look great. Kirk said we'll know more early this week. So we'll see on that. But yeah, the drops were concerning for sure. I still thought good things happened when a couple times they threw to Seth Anderson, drew some PIs, made a nice catch. Caleb Brown drops what would have been a first down, and his first catch as a Hawkeye. That's disappointing. Deontay Vines 3 drops. Nico had a drop. Eric All had a really bad drop early that kind of killed some momentum from Cade's first drive, only real drive. So I'm rambling here, but only 222 yards of offense, and let's just give credit to the all those guys on defense. Yeah, 4 turnovers. They're not going to get that every week, but they needed it tonight, and now they face a Purdue team that's put up 44 points on Illinois. So there's no game that's going to be easy. Not even the one at Northwestern. I mean, the Big Ten West stinks, but all these games are still going to be hard for this team. So that's that's where we're at.
I thought Deacon showed some good flashes. I mean, he has a bazooka for an arm. He really throws it, and he has a bigger frame, which, given Iowa's O-line, if he is able to kind of absorb hits at a higher rate, I guess I would say, that I think is a good thing. And he does move. He is pretty fleet-footed, I would say, for his size, his ability to kind of move in the pocket. And some of the throws that he was making, to me, the biggest thing is being able to get his accuracy down, because the arm strength is not a question. He can really throw it. I think that Iowa should try to utilize that more and go deeper, go for some long balls. But I think it also goes back to the fact that Iowa needs to get its run game going, because what Michigan State was doing was just stacking the box and basically daring Iowa to throw when Deacon Hill was in the game. And there was no running room at all. And so basically you're saying if we're going to lose to Iowa, it's got to be Deacon Hill beating us. So Iowa's got to find some way to counter that. They've got to get some running game going. I think then you might need to air it out more, which if I would have told you, at the start of the season or not maybe at the start, but when Cade McNamara committed, that, the season would be on Deacon Hill's ability to consistently make throws. I don't know if you would have believed that, but that's where Iowa is at this point. And I think that's also kind of the fact that Iowa's basically going to just need to scrap its way the rest of the season. Like it's probably not going to be pretty, especially as much as fans would like. I just think, is it possible for them to get a Big Ten championship? Yeah, but it's probably going to have to be a significant detour, and it's going to look a lot different than people would have expected, 2 weeks ago.
18 targets. I was just adding them up. 18 targets for wide receivers. So that it definitely seems like with Deacon Hill, you can, try to throw to those receivers more. They got to catch, obviously, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Torrey Taylor was good, as usual. And have we talked about Drew Stevens? I mean, man, that was huge. The fact that he connected on that 53-yard field goal after they stuffed the QB sneak for Michigan State after getting burned by the sneak by Penn State all last week. They stopped. Michigan State probably saw that on film, right? And they tried it 4th and 1 from their own 30, and they got stuffed. And Iowa turned that into 3 huge points because it was 16-10 at the time. And then it becomes 16-13. So Drew Stevens connects today from 40, 53, 36, and then 34 in the final minute to kind of put the game out of reach and make it 26-16. That's when Harris picks up the final pick. So really it was, great game for Drew Stevens. I think Cooper DeJean's probably going to be, he's probably going to be Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. I don't know. I guess I don't know how they count. I don't know what they would say because you had special teams and defense, so I don't know. But anyway, between Cooper and Drew Stevens, it was a great day for the special teams. My prediction is LeVar Woods on the Wednesday Zoom. That would be a good one.
This might be nitpicking too much. I don't know, but I think Iowa's defense has to get better. I think they gave up a significant amount of chunk plays, and this was a Michigan State team that scored 16 points combined in its last 2 games. And obviously they only put up 16 today. One of that was the fumble return for a touchdown. But they had more than 150 rushing yards against Iowa on Saturday. Iowa kind of maneuvered its way out with some of those takeaways. And I thought that's what Iowa needs to do moving forward. But if the offense is going to be kind of teetering on drive-by-drive basis the rest of the season, or at least for the foreseeable future, the defense is going to have to take, I think, a step forward to kind of make up for that. I thought they were good, but that one comes to mind. There was a 3rd and 15 where they had the run up the middle, and they initially called it a first down, then reviewed it and said it wasn't. I think Iowa ended up getting the stop on 4th down, but giving up a close to a first down on 3rd and 15 on a run, I don't think Iowa can afford to do that moving forward. So I think the defense needs to clean up some things. I think it needs to continue the rate at close to the rate at which it forced takeaways against Michigan State, but it also needs to kind of figure out a way of stopping those chunk plays, because Michigan State had been struggling on offense, and I thought that they were able to kind of make some headway. So if Iowa does want to continue on this goal of getting to the Big Ten championship, I think the defense has to get better.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, Michigan State still rushed 32 times for 156 yards. So that's almost 5 yards a pop. The pass defense was a lot better. I was surprised Michigan State threw it as much as it did. And once again, play disparity, 76 to 39 in snap count. So again, you're giving up 17 snaps to the other team that you're not running. So let's do some 3-word headlines and get out of here. It's very late, and I don't know if you can hear the sirens, folks, but they are loud here in Iowa City. I highlighted a bunch. Get your reaction here, Tyler. First of all, I want to give Jay Haskovic a nice – he made me laugh while you were talking because remember the commercial where they're doing the scoop, there it is, those two guys with the ice cream? Coop, there it is. It's 4 words, but I like the creativity there. Flip-flop Trek avoided total disaster. Yes, they did, I would say. 0-2 in the Big Ten with a loss here when your quarterback done would have felt like there's nothing to play for, but now it feels like at least there's something to play for. Stuff and Things podcast, and Todd Brommelkamp down in the post-game room said big Deke energy. I like that one. Boiler Up says live, laugh, punt. You see that sign on game day, Tyler? The live, laugh, punt?
No, I did not.
Somebody on college game day, someone had a sign that said live, laugh, punt with the Hawkeye logo. Kennington Smith watching the YouTube pod after, I assume Bama won, right? Bama won tonight? Let's hope they did. Otherwise, Kennington's got other stuff he needs to be working on. But he says, thanks, John Budmeyer. Without John Budmeyer, Deacon Hill is not here, nor is Cade McNamara. But you kind of looked over my shoulder and were chuckling at my little Deacon Hill intro. He was a 5-paragraph, no quote item when he committed to Iowa, and nothing else. No follow story, no column. Cade McNamara got a week or 2 of columns, and Deacon Hill was total afterthought. No career passes at Wisconsin. So, yeah, what do you think of Deacon Hill kind of all of a sudden being in the spotlight after, being worth 5 paragraphs?
I think
that's like our 4th stringer wrote.
I think the Deke show is upon us, is what I think. I think there's some NIL opportunity there, the Deke sneak.
For sure, if he does anything good.
I think that I don't know how much of a hot take this is, and we haven't really seen a lot of Deacon Hill yet, but I think he might have – his ceiling might be the highest in the quarterback room at Iowa, like his potential where he can get to, because his size, his ability to kind of still move with his size, his arm strength, I think he can be really good. I think we're still in the early stages of his development, and he just hasn't had a lot of time on the field. I think Cade McNamara is much more suited to play now and to lead a team now, and the leadership he has now. I think if you're looking more at a long-term, who could be who has the highest ceiling, I'm encouraged that Deacon Hill can be really good. How quickly he gets there, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The game experience he's getting right now will be very beneficial in that. He's kind of getting thrown into the fire real quickly. But I think he can get to a high level at some point in his career.
Yeah, I like that. That's a little bit of a positive analysis there. I like that, Tyler. A lot. We got a lot highlighted here, and I just want to buzz through a few more. Lara at Unrested Rejoice says, assist to Kinnick. Absolutely, the crowd was great, and the players talked about that. Jay Higgins talked about that. How when you get a team into 3rd and long in Kinnick. We saw Michigan State have 2 false starts back to back. That was huge, honestly. Helped Iowa tilt the field a little bit in the second half, and they needed that. Cat Dad Records says this sneak is back. Absolutely. Austin Rickardson, Cooper calls game. He did. I mean, he was decisive. Elliott, now we're getting into some negative stuff. Okay, let's get into a little bit of negative tone because there was booing. There were fire Brian chants, and some of these get to it. Elliott says, what's the upside? Again, always going to love that. Bob Cobb says, delaying the inevitable. I assume that means delaying that Brian is no longer OC. Tyler's nodding. Okay.
No, I mean, yeah, there was fire Brian chants.
Pretty loud too. Like
Yeah,
it was not quiet.
And there was booze as well. And I think someone brought this up, and it's a good point that maybe we can that might become a bigger question in the future. But how does this change the complexion of how Iowa's offense is viewed now that Cade McNamara is out and Deacon Hill is in? I think it does change it, but I don't think some people might not want it to, right? Because we don't know whether this offense would have ended up being good with Cade McNamara as the quarterback or not. So,
right. I mean, yeah,
it just makes it a lot more murky of how we judge where this offense is at. Because they're also down Luke Lachey. They've been down 2 of the better running backs. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moving pieces in this kind of complex, situation.
Yeah, a couple things. A lot of questions about Joe Labus. Yes, he's healthy, but he did miss pretty much all of fall camp. So, he's just way behind on reps. The offense, Deacon Hill had the majority of the 1 reps between spring and fall camp. So, Ferentz he was asked about that, stressed that Deacon is number 1. And also, to me, it's not an excuse. You don't give him a pass on the contract or whatever because you had a few injuries. You have to be prepared for these injuries. Now, credit to them for bringing in multiple quarterbacks and not just Cade. So, credit to John Budmeyer for that. So, but yeah, to me, now the job for Brian Ferentz is let's see how good of an offensive coordinator you are. And I know people are laughing when I say that, but let's see what you can do to adapt now on the fly and cater to Deacon Hill's strengths. You've got 7 games left against pretty weak competition in general. So there's an opportunity there. I mean, I look back, what the Chicago Bears did last year. They evolved their offense when they realized Justin Fields can't throw very well. They became a rushing offense, and they led the NFL in rushing last year. They kind of altered their offense to become that. And I think, you're going to have to tailor this a little bit differently now if you're Ryan Ferentz. So a really good point by you, Tyler. A couple more. Flaky Biscuit says Cooper saves Brian. Did get over the 25 mark today. Cade Crawl, catch the ball. And then let's finish on this one from no. Rob says Deacon of Hope. I like that one. Chris Bryant, DeJean the Dream. Like that one as well. And here's the last couple. One guy says J-Town 2222 says defense gains confidence. So he gives us a little optimism. But here's the last one that leads into next week, and then we got to go. Shy Iowa Louder. I don't know if I read that right. It says not buying Peacock. Iowa on Peacock against the Boilers next week. So it was entertaining. Sorry, I muted myself there. I thought it was entertaining, Tyler.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster. It was, and I think someone or Dargan just put up on the screen. I was about to say something that you comparing Iowa to the Bears. I wouldn't necessarily say that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
model that you probably want to take
No,
after.
it's about right. It's about right offensively. Bears have lost 13 in a row, I think. Oh, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
Anyway, up next, Purdue. Then it's at Wisconsin. So if you want to win the West, you don't have a lot of time, and that'll be interesting if Deacon Hill goes, back to face his former team. Obviously, he's going to know some people there, but he's got to get his game together pretty quick. Any final thoughts, Tyler, before we go?
I don't think we probably didn't talk enough about Cooper's return because it was electric. It was, I mean, the crowd went into a frenzy. I thought for Cooper DeJean being someone that has so many expectations on him coming into this season, I wouldn't say like the first 4 games of his season were bad by any stretch, but he didn't have that kind of signature performance that he had so many times last season. This felt like him playing at an All-American level. He has the interception. He has a punt return for a touchdown. He was a big reason that Iowa won the game, and it felt like kind of you want one of your best players to show up in clutch moments like that, and he did.
Yes, I was on mute again. Yes, thank you, Tyler. We got to go. It's late, almost 1 a.m. For Tyler Tachman, this is Chad Leistikow. Thanks for joining us on this Hawk Central post-game podcast. We'll talk to you Tuesday after press conferences. Should be eventful. Thanks for joining us.